All right, we're looking at solving for a given variable. This skill is something that you'll use often in problems when you need to get one variable alone and you have more than one variable. The current equation you're looking at doesn't have two variables, but what if we change that? What if I inserted an x in there? And now I've got both x and y, and I want you to solve for y. Well, how are you going to do that? To start off, we're going to examine the same steps that we would use if we just had one variable, y. Well, we'd still distribute like we always do, giving me 3y plus 6 minus 8 equals y minus 4. And then normally we'd combine like terms, putting that positive 6 and negative 8 together on the left side. I'm not going to do that. You'll understand why in a moment. I'm just moving on to the next step. I'm going to move this y over to the left side by doing the opposite, subtracting it, causing it to cancel. And 3y minus y gives me 2y, still have the plus 6, still have the minus 8, and negative 4 on the right side. Now I've got y on the left, so I want to move everything else to the right. That means plus 6 has to go. I do the opposite. Minus 8 has to go. I do the opposite. Those will cancel. All right, what I do on one side, I have to do on the other. So I'm going to add 8 and subtract 6. 2y is left on the left side. On the right side, if I combine all three of those, negative 4 and positive 8 make positive 4. Minus 6 is negative 2. And I'll divide by 2 as usual. And I get y equals negative 1. If that's a struggle for you, please stop this video now. Go back and watch solving linear equations, because I need you to understand this skill before we add in another variable. All right, so let's take a look at adding in a variable. If I add in x, I want you to understand the process does not change. We still follow the exact same 4 steps. I'm still going to start with distributing, giving me 3y plus 6. That's the same. Minus 8x equals y minus 4x. Now, I can't combine any like terms. This is why I didn't do it in the previous problem. Notice positive 6 and negative 8x do not go together. I can't touch them. So I'm still going to move my y's to the left side by subtracting y, leaving 2y plus 6 minus 8x. On the other side, my y's did cancel, leaving me with negative 4x. Once my y is on the left, I want to move everything else to the right, and therefore that plus 6 has to go. The minus 8x has to go. I do the opposite, so they cancel. What I do on one side, I must do on the other to keep things equal. And now on the left, I've got 2y. On the right, 4x, a negative 4x, and 8x gives me 4x, and that negative 6. Now, I'm going to solve for y, the last step, by dividing by 2 on the left side. On the right side, I have to divide the entire thing by 2. This is where we do get a little bit of a difference. Still the same step that we're doing, but now I have to divide all the terms on the right side by 2. That gives me y equals 4x divided by 2 is 2x. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. If you get a fraction when doing that, put the fraction there. If you get a decimal, you can put the decimal there. I prefer to work in improper fractions just because we're dealing with slope and the y-intercept. Let's compare these two side by side. So take a look. As you can see, I'm going to get my next mark here. All right. As you can see, it's the exact same thing. I'm still distributing on both sides, getting the same step there. All right. Notice I'm still subtracting y on both sides. That's the exact same thing. I'm still doing the opposite to get rid of these two terms here. All right. And I do the same thing on that left-hand side. Our big difference comes in that on the left side, we were able to combine all 3 of these to get negative 2. On the right side, on the right equation over here, we couldn't combine all of them. Only the 4x, negative 4x, and the 8x gives me that 4x. That 6 just comes down and stays as a negative 6. And then notice we still divided by 2 on both sides. And on the left side, negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. But on the right side, we had to divide both of these terms by 2. I had to put them both in there to get my 2 results down below. All right, so that's our big difference there.